The Dominion announced its verdict with clinical indifference, broadcasting the message across its war network, as if reciting a weather report rather than condemning a species. Earth, designated an inefficient anomaly, was to be subdued and integrated. Debate was minimal. The Dominion's counselors, armored in tradition and arrogance, approved a measure they had executed countless times before: the deployment of 10,000 assassins. Their elite guilds answered the call without hesitation, traveling across star systems to assemble at an ice world serving as a strategic midpoint. No previous target had required even half their number. 10,000 was not caution. It was spectacle, a declaration meant to intimidate before the assassins even arrived. Snow swept across the frozen staging grounds as the Legion formed into disciplined ranks. Their armor, matte and seamless, distorted the surrounding light until their silhouettes blurred with the environment. Weapons hung from their suits like extensions of their own limbs, crafted for precision kills delivered without hesitation or remorse. The assassins moved with a unity that felt more biological than tactical, guided by a neural link that merged their senses and erased doubt. To them, Earth represented a trivial assignment. They had erased civilizations famed for their brutality, cunning, and technology. Humans, by comparison, appeared primitive, resourceful but limited, stubborn but unsophisticated. Most within the Legion expected the mission to end within a day. When Dominion analysts intercepted Earth's countermeasure, laughter spread through the command ranks. Earth had sent only 2 operatives. No fleets, no enhanced battalions, not even automated drones. 2 individuals. Dominion officers shared mocking predictions, wagering on how quickly the operatives would perish. The arrogance was so ingrained that even the few analysts who detected anomalies in Earth's encrypted files dismissed their concerns. Details regarding the operatives, names, ranks, capabilities, were sealed behind firewalls that Dominion systems could not breach. Yet no one took this seriously. Secrecy from a minor world seemed more amusing than alarming. Far from the fortress of alien certainty, a lone figure emerged through the forest's dusk, his presence unsettling in its quiet confidence. His mask, shaped like a bone-white visage with hollow eyes, caught faint glimmers of ambient light. A heavy coat lined with black fur draped over reinforced armor plates, suggesting preparation for both harsh climates and harsh conflict. Across his back rested a long rifle whose hybrid design blended old-world craftsmanship with underground innovation. To Earth's intelligence networks, he carried a title whispered with restrained fascination: the Reaper. His reputation was not built on spectacle, but on consistency. Missions completed without noise, enemies neutralized without patterns, and escapes executed with unnerving calm. He navigated the frozen terrain like a creature born of winter, every movement controlled, every breath minimized to avoid unnecessary disclosure of presence. Another figure descended through the canopy with a grace that defied the forest's rigid geometry. Soft snow dispersed beneath his boots as he landed, and his cloak settled around him like a shifting shadow. A scarf hid the lower half of his face, guiding focus to sharp, steady eyes that absorbed every contour of the environment. A curved sword rested along his back, joined by smaller blades arranged with meticulous symmetry across his torso. Among Earth's covert divisions, he was known simply as the Ninja. Unlike the Reaper, whose legend grew from records whispered among intelligence circles, the Ninja's identity remained so obscure that even internal files contained contradictions. What was undeniable, however, was the result. Infiltrations completed against impossible odds, guarded facilities breached without alerts, high-value targets neutralized before they understood they were in danger. His discipline was absolute, rooted in an unwavering commitment to precision rather than theatrics. The 2 operatives converged atop a ridge overlooking the assassin encampment. Below them stretched a sea of dark armor, flickering devices, and synchronized movement. The forest silence amplified the faint hum of scanners sweeping the area, searching for threats that Dominion officers believed could not possibly challenge them. The Reaper studied the formations with analytical detachment, cataloging rotations, identifying blind zones, and measuring distances with mental calculations honed by years of unbroken focus. He recognized the signs of overconfidence in the Legion's posture, the slightly relaxed shoulders, the predictability in their scanning arcs, the assumption of superiority embedded in every measured step. Beside him, the ninja examined the camp through a different lens. He followed patterns of movement rather than lines of approach, noting the subtle spaces between patrols where shadows deepened and noise faded. He traced pathways invisible to most eyes, not because they were hidden, but because they required a mind willing to see opportunity in stillness. He recognized the same flaw the Reaper identified. The Legion's structure was too tight, too perfect, too dependent on unified motion. Such unity made them dangerous, but also vulnerable. Break the rhythm, and the entire structure would wobble. They exchanged no words, for none were necessary. Their minds aligned naturally, shaped by missions that demanded trust without explanation. Both understood the scale of the challenge before them. Both recognized the arrogance that fueled the Dominion's choices. Both accepted the responsibility Earth had placed upon their shoulders. Not because Earth could not send an army, but because Earth knew precisely who it needed to send. Wind swept across the ridge, scattering frost between them. The Reaper raised his rifle slightly, gauging the distance to the first patrol. The ninja adjusted his scarf, steadying his breathing. Below them, 10,000 assassins prepared for what they assumed would be another effortless victory. Above them, 2 humans prepared to prove them wrong. The assassin legions began their sweep of the frozen forest with mechanical precision, each operative guided by a neural link that synchronized their movements into a single predatory will. Snow shifted under thousands of boots, absorbing their footsteps into a muted rhythm that would have deceived any normal adversary. They extended sensor arrays, deployed mirage projectors, and activated cloaking veils that bent light around their bodies. Every tactic reflected a species that had perfected the art of killing across centuries. Their commanders believed the 2 humans would be located within minutes. The legions moved with that confidence, swift, coordinated, assured of triumph. The Reaper watched their advance through a narrow scope, tracking patterns in their formations as though analyzing a living organism. He noted subtle distinctions, the slight stagger in their spacing, the over-reliance on optical camouflage, the rigid structure that left no room for improvisation. Their discipline, impressive at a distance, became a liability under scrutiny. He slowed his breathing until the world seemed to hold still, adjusted his rifle by a fraction, and exhaled. One shot cracked through the cold, and a distant figure collapsed into the snow without warning. The formation shuddered, briefly losing its perfect rhythm. The Reaper fired again, and another assassin fell. Panic was not yet visible, but confusion began to settle like frost. He shifted positions with effortless precision, already anticipating the countermeasures that would follow. The assassins converged on his previous roost, scanning the trees, layering digital overlays across the terrain. They found nothing. The Reaper had vanished deeper into the forest, leaving only footprints that quickly filled with drifting snow. Every decision he made served a purpose: disrupt cohesion, break momentum, and carve uncertainty into minds conditioned to feel none. Their fear would grow with each disappearance. Their confidence would fracture. He could sense the process beginning. Elsewhere, the ninja moved through the canopy with fluid grace, barely touching each branch before drifting to the next. His cloak blended with the swirling white surroundings, and his breathing harmonized with the forest stillness. He observed a cluster of assassins moving in synchronized arcs, their scanners sweeping the air with artificial vigilance. Their technology sought movement, heat fluctuations, electromagnetic disturbances. What did not account for was someone who had mastered the discipline of stillness so completely that even birds sometimes ignored him. He descended silently behind the last operative in the formation, blade flashing with precise economy. The body fell forward without a sound. He seized the assassin's weapon before it hit the ground, turned, and used it against the next adversary in one seamless motion. A brief flicker of alarm passed through the formation, but the ninja did not allow it to spread. He moved through them like a shadow, slicing through torchlight, appearing and vanishing before any coordinated response could take shape. Each kill was deliberate and controlled, each motion designed to dismantle the psychological framework that anchored the Legion's unity. Their strength had always depended on their collective certainty. Isolate them, and that strength dissolved. As casualties accumulated, the Dominion's command nexus struggled to comprehend the nature of the threat. Reports arrived in fragments. Visual feeds blank, vitals dropping unexpectedly, formations breaking without visible contact. Tactical officers argued among themselves, unable to reconcile the data with their assumptions. The Reaper's long-range strikes disrupted their attempts to stabilize communication. The ninjas' infiltrations severed their internal command chains. The Legion's neural synchronization faltered, turning the once perfect organism into fractured clusters of frightened individuals. Some assassins attempted to retreat towards safer ground, but the Reaper tracked their movements through the scope's faint thermal signatures. He eliminated them before they could warn others. His expression remained unchanged behind the mask, but his mind evaluated each engagement with clinical focus, refining his understanding of the enemy's weaknesses. He noted the tremor in an assassin's grip, the hesitation in their scanning patterns, the increasingly erratic trajectories of their patrols. Fear reshaped them into prey, and he adapted accordingly. In the forest's heart, the ninja approached a group attempting to recalibrate their synchronization grid. Their holographic console flickered, unable to stabilize under the disruption caused by the Reaper's earlier shots. The ninja circled the perimeter, studying their movements, then stepped into the clearing with deliberate clarity. For an instant, the assassins froze in bewildered recognition. He moved before shock transformed into action. His blade carved through the grid's central column, plunging the clearing into darkness. Then he dismantled the team with silent precision, each strike delivered with disciplined resolve. When he slipped back into the shadows, only scattered weapons remained among the fallen. Word spread through the Legion's fragmented networks. The two humans were not targets. They were predators. Their tactics defied classification, their unpredictability defied adaptation, and their lethality defied the Dominion's understanding of warfare. The assassins, conditioned to suppress emotion, felt something unfamiliar tightening inside their chests. Panic, though subtle, had taken root. By nightfall, the forest no longer belonged to the Legion. It had become a hunting ground shaped by two shadows that moved with relentless intent. The Reaper recalibrated his rifle as drifting snow softened the edges of the battlefield. The ninja emerged beside him, silent but energized, his eyes reflecting the faint glow of distant fires where the assassin's equipment burned. They exchanged a glance, brief, sufficient, ready. The Dominion believed numbers defined certainty. Tonight proved otherwise. The forest waited for the next phase of the hunt. The Dominion's command fortress rose from the frozen valley like a monolith carved from obsidian ice, its sharp angles cutting through the drifting snow. Inside, the surviving assassins crowded behind barricades, their once fluid coordination reduced to jittery gestures and fragmented whispers. The neural link that had unified them now crackled with static interference, each distortion reminding them that two humans had dismantled their flawless system. The commander, a towering figure encased in dark alloy armor, watched malfunctioning tactical screens with growing dread. He commanded forces that had toppled civilizations, yet tonight he struggled to understand the magnitude of the disaster unfolding around him. Outside, the Reaper advanced with deliberate patience, each footstep measured to avoid unnecessary noise. He gripped his rifle loosely, conserving energy while assessing the fortress's defensive grid. Heat signatures revealed clusters of assassins clinging to any semblance of strategic formation, though their spacing betrayed disarray. He identified weak points in their perimeter and noted the jitter in their patrol timings. Their sensors adapted quickly, but their minds adapted slowly. That lag was enough. He crouched behind a fractured stone outcrop, recalibrating his rifle for long-range penetration. One silent shot pierced the fortress's outer turret, causing a chain of electrical failures that darkened half the structure. The assassins scrambled, shouting conflicting orders, revealing how thoroughly fear had unraveled their discipline. The ninja moved through the blizzard like a ripple in the air. His cloak absorbed the fortress's red emergency lights, turning him into an extension of the storm. He approached from the opposite side, studying the architecture not as a barrier, but as a sequence of opportunities: blind corners, ventilation gaps, shadowed recesses. He placed one hand against the cold metal wall, feeling the faint hum of overloaded circuits. The assassins inside depended on their technology, and that dependence had become a liability. He climbed the outer support beams with silent precision, pausing only when a pair of guards passed beneath him. Their pacing was uneven, marked by the tension of hunters turned hunted. He descended silently, landing behind them with the grace of falling snow. Neither guard had time to sound an alarm. He dragged their bodies behind a structural column, clearing the path ahead. The Reaper breached the west entrance moments later, using the fortress's darkness as cover. He strode through abandoned corridors lit only by flickering red lights, scanning for ambushes. His movements were calm, purposeful, unhurried, betraying neither bravado nor hesitation. His mind processed every footstep, echo, and temperature fluctuation with instinct sharpened by years of relentless missions. He sensed danger before it materialized. When an assassin lunged from a side passage, he sidestepped without breaking rhythm and delivered a single, efficient blow that dropped the attacker instantly. He continued forward, aware that the fortress was tightening its defenses around the central command chamber. The assassins were gathering for a final stand. The ninja reached the upper levels, where reinforced platforms encircled the command nexus. Dozens of assassins guarded the approach, their faces taut with desperation. They had abandoned elegance for brute readiness, gripping weapons with trembling hands. The ninja watched them for a moment, studying the fractures in their morale. He stepped into view, knowing hesitation among them would be immediate. The nearest assassin fired too early, ruining the squad's attempt at synchronized attack. The ninja moved through their disarray with disciplined fluidity, deflecting projectiles with minimal effort and striking with controlled precision. His sword cut arcs of silver in the dim light, each movement calculated to disable before killing. He spared no motion, no breath, no thought that did not serve the mission's continuity. The Reaper joined him at the Nexus entrance. Neither spoke. Their partnership thrived on silence. They breached the doors together, the ninja slicing through magnetic locks while the Reaper neutralized automated turrets with pinpoint shots. Inside, the surviving assassins formed a defensive ring around their commander. Their neural link, once flawless, flickered like a dying flame, forcing them to coordinate manually. They hesitated in the face of two silhouettes framed by swirling snow and red light. For the first time since their creation, they did not advance immediately. The commander stepped forward, towering above his fallen soldiers, gripping a blade forged from alien alloys. His voice carried a distorted edge as he demanded an explanation. Why had Earth sent only 2 operatives? Why had humanity responded to overwhelming force with what appeared, to the Dominion, as absurd undercommitment? The Reaper's mask tilted slightly, as though studying him with clinical detachment. Before he responded, he assessed the commander's stance, rigid, predictable, weighed down by pride masquerading as certainty. Earth does not weigh strength, he said, not when precision is enough. The commander roared, charging with fury sharpened by humiliation. The ninja stepped aside, redirecting the momentum with a single motion that left the commander exposed. The Reaper fired one precise shot. The commander collapsed, armor cracking beneath the impact. The remaining assassins dropped their weapons, the neural link failing completely as fear overtook loyalty. Silence settled over the chamber, broken only by the hum of damaged circuitry. The Reaper surveyed the fallen, ensuring no threat remained. The ninja sheathed his sword, breathing evenly despite the intensity of the confrontation. They turned toward the exit, their task complete. Outside, dawn touched the forest with muted light. Smoke drifted from the shattered fortress, rising like a signal that the Dominion's certainty had finally fractured. The Reaper adjusted his mask. The ninja pulled his cloak tighter against the cold. They walked away from the ruins without ceremony, knowing Earth would receive the message carried by their survival. 2 humans had walked into the path of 10,000 assassins. 2 humans had walked out.